I will be honest, I'd rather be shot than stabbed.
What would you say was the biggest differences between policing in the UK and the US?
Um, well, people often say, is there much difference? And the only real difference, I suppose, because you still deal with the same kind of incidents. And the biggest thing I had to get used to, which I got used to over the UK. I mean, the UK is still an unarmed police force, except for special locations like international airports and various other high-profile, protection of people. The police are still unarmed. So the biggest difference really was having a gun permanently over here. And I will be honest, I'd rather be shot than stabbed. I don't know why, but I'd rather be shot than stabbed.
While policing in the US with guns are part of the daily policing, how did you feel about that shift?
And I was used to it. We weren't armed. And then it became to a point where they said, we do need those additional powers that police have. And
Yeah.
also, are concerns, as you know, about shootings nowadays on campuses. Not so much when we became a police force, but it's increased. But I always remember walking around and a couple of people saying, so what's it going to be like when you're armed? And I'd say, what do you mean? When you're armed? I said, you mean like this? And I was carrying a gun, but they hadn't seen it. But in the end, it really became, to a large degree, a non-issue until the current chief, Willie Halberton, decided that he would unarm again, take the firearms away from the police. And I know a couple of my colleagues retired early because of that. What we were going to do, and I believe it's true now, was firearms were going to be placed in the vehicles to be available. Because it was suggested, and this was something I made a point of, it was suggested that what they would do is they would put the firearms in the police station, and if an incident arose, we would then try and make to the station to pick up our firearms. And I made a point of saying, look, I have no issue with the decision not to be armed because I've been doing it for 32 years. I will say a lot of colleagues were not happy, which is why they didn't stay. But it wasn't a real concern to me. But what I said is, you can't do that. Can you imagine shall we say, the optics of somebody tells me, hey, there's a person in there who's shooting the students. Okay, not a problem.